So Kyle Larson dropped an absolutely huge hint to his NASCAR future, almost certainly with Hendrick Motorsports, in his essay he published Monday. And we all missed it. Well, virtually all of us, except for some amazing sleuths on Twitter who were able to piece some of these pieces together. And I would almost convince you at this point with some of these extra details, by the end of this video, you'll be just as convinced as I am that Kyle Larson is headed to Hendrick Motorsports in 2021. But first, we do have some details about Penske and their next 2 seasons in NASCAR. So let's talk about some of the NASCAR silly season news. And the stuff we can confirm today involves the Wood Brothers and Penske Racing, namely that Matt DiBenedetto will be retained after all at the Wood Brothers for the 2021 season. Adam Stern reported that his season was apparently on the line at Talladega, but his great performance there saved him from the being put out to pasture, I guess you could say. And the person who everybody thought was going to put him out to pasture was Austin Cindric, who, Team Penske announced today, will remain full-time in the Xfinity Series for 2021. But, and this is the important thing, will make Cup starts for Team Penske in 2021 ahead of a full-time Team Penske ride in 2022. Now, let the speculation commence. Who is he replacing at Team Penske, or is he replacing someone at Team Penske in 2022? And which races will Austin Cindric participate in? I think for sure you would earmark the the first NASCAR Cup Series race at the IMS road course, almost certainly. But anywhere else, that will be interesting speculation for sure. Now, we did have, from an official journalist, a hint dropped about the future of the, what we now call the number 88 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Jenna Fryer saying that there is no announcement expected on this car for several weeks. However, we got some very interesting details uncovered from NASCAR Fan Police on Twitter. And let me tell you, his link is down in the description below. You should definitely follow him, because if you're interested in breaking Kyle Larson news, and just this guy has been all over it. He was one of the first guys on the scene to talk about some of Kyle Larson's charity work months before Kyle Larson confirmed it himself. And so this is a very credible account in terms of Kyle Larson news. So this is what we have been missing, uncovered by NASCAR Fan Police in the Larson essay. It's in the paragraph where he talks about reaching out to members of the black community in the motorsports realm. And one of the names he mentions is Perry Stuckey. Now, Perry Stuckey, as stated in the essay, is the Senior VP and Chief Human Relations Officer for Eastman. Now, Eastman Performance Films, LLC, produces Lumar window film. And that, of course, is one of the primary sponsors for the number 88 in the NASCAR Cup Series. And of course, if you missed the last Larson video, or the last video where we talked about Larson, we'll explain why sponsors involving the 88 are so important. But it certainly sticks out that this person sponsors a NASCAR Cup car, just so happens to sponsor the NASCAR Cup car that Larson is linked to, and Larson drops his name in his essay. Now, we also know that Larson has met with executives from both Chevrolet and NASCAR. He did that at the Urban Racing School in Philadelphia. And NASCAR earlier this week very publicly, not announced, but acknowledged his existence for the first time since his suspension once Larson published this essay. So let's talk about some of these details, because there's a lot more threads that we now have connected in this story. And one of those major things is the funding for, again, we'll call it the 88 Hendrick Motorsports car, but there's rumors out there, I don't know how credible they are, that he will run his dirt number 57. Let's just call it, for the sake of argument right now, the 4th Hendrick Motorsports NASCAR Cup Series car. There have been rumors out there flying about why Larson would be jumping into this seat. And it seems like the details finally are kind of becoming much more clear. We know that the 88 wasn't totally funded for the entire year this year. We saw Chevy stepping up a couple races to make sure that that car got a full schedule. Lumar is really, at this point, the only real major sponsor that that team has. I mean, we have seen Valvoline at a couple of races, but consistently, that seems to be one of the major sponsors. Certainly, from my perspective, and I think we need to bring in a little bit of skepticism here, because there's certainly, I think it's highly probable that Perry reached out to Kyle Larson simply because he is a prominent member of the black community, particularly one who is involved in racing, and may have been able to offer Kyle Larson some insight and some advice. And certainly, I think it's reasonable to also assume that Kyle Larson would want to thank him for that help. That being said, there's too many connections here to necessarily say it was strictly an educational meeting, or the communication between Perry and Kyle have been completely about educating Kyle Larson. My guess is there was some future talk, or there has been future talk, possibly Perry even reaching out to Kyle Larson as kind of an exploratory thing to see if he had changed, to see if there was a path that Lumar could take to sponsor Kyle Larson at any point in the future. Certainly, I'm sure being made aware of Hendrick's interest in Kyle Larson. And we also know that Ally Bank definitely did not want Kyle Larson. I think that was abundantly clear from the fact that Alex Bowman moved over to the 48 car for next year, taking over for Jimmy Johnson in that car. And from my perspective, I've thought before all these details came out, Kyle Larson was headed to Hendrick. I think Kyle Larson, as we've seen recently, over 40 wins. I think he's got a 60% hit rate in the dirt series. He is a generational talent. And the mistake that he made, while it was a big mistake, no doubt about it, don't want to downplay that in the least, but it was a mistake that was made at a time where it couldn't have been worse timing from an optics PR standpoint. The entire country was shut down. Everybody's sports were gone, and really the only sports that were operating at that time were esports, and particularly you had the iRacing. And so the fact that this happened on an iRacing broadcast, not only did you have sports people, not only did you have political people, you had video game people. It was all over the place. I mean, this was a massive, massive story. Kyle Larson, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion, and everybody's got one, as they say, has demonstrated to me that he has changed from where he was then to where he is now. And I think that while, yes, there's definitely going to be some PR backlash, it certainly looks like to me that all of the pieces are falling into place for a Kyle Larson redemption tour in 2021, like I've said. And the fact that there at least will be potentially one sponsor that will sign on to this, particularly a sponsor that is headed up by a member of the black community, I think that could be really helpful for everybody involved from a healing standpoint, from a public relations healing standpoint, and certainly as an educational tool. Like I've said before, I think one of the big things that will be able to be taken away from this is I think Kyle Larson, especially if NASCAR does this right, will be the shining example of somebody who made a racist mistake and learned and changed and grew from it and became a better person. And I think this could be overall a good thing for NASCAR. Again, we'll have to wait till he's reinstated, and who knows when that's going to happen. Could happen tomorrow. It could happen 2 weeks from now, like Jenna Fryer says, and then gets hired at Hendrick Motorsports, theoretically. And we'll just have to see what happens. I think he certainly will win the Bristol Dirt Race, that's for sure, if he does get in that 88 or 57 or 5 or 25 car, whatever you want to call it. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Has this extra detail convinced you any more or any less that Kyle Larson is headed not only to the NASCAR Cup Series next year, but to Hendrick Motorsports. Let me know down there. Going to be at New Jersey Motorsports Park this weekend for Road to Indy. Hopefully we'll have some videos and some coverage of that event there. Going to see my buddy Braden Eves for the first time since his big crash, and I can't wait to see him and all the good folks at Road to Indy. We'll see you in the next video. Subscribe for more motorsports coverage, and yeah, we'll see you at New Jersey Motorsports Park.